So if I'm being honest, I've never been a huge fan of the Tron movies. I've always been far more interested in the Tron games, which I played a lot when I was younger. But they're making a new Tron movie out this week called Tron Ares, and I didn't really care until I learned that it was being scored by 9 Inch Nails. And suddenly I was all in. Yes, that's right. I am a child of the 90s in many ways. Hey everybody, I'm Sean McBride, the movie guy, and today let's talk about that new Tron movie called Tron Ares.
So much talk of AI and big tech today. Virtual worlds, what are they going to look like? When will we get there? Well, folks, we're not going there. They are coming here. I would like you to meet Ares, the ultimate soldier.
Tron Ares is set in a world where there are two giant tech companies, and both of them are competing for world domination. Now, the good guys, we have Greta Lee, and the bad guys, we have Evan Peters playing their CEOs, and both of them have come to the point where they can build stuff out of nothing. Basically, they have these lasers, and if you can dream it up, the lasers can print it up. There is one problem, though. The problem is that these laser printed objects can only exist for 29 minutes, and after that, they kind of decompose into nothing. A bunch of pixels or whatever fall apart. But there is hope on the horizon. There's something called the permanence code, and whoever can find that can make their creations come to life forever. Unfortunately, the good guys, as Greta Lee, she finds the permanence code, but the bad guys will stop at nothing to get it. And so they decide to capture her and then kill her and extract the code from her memories. And in order to do that, Evan Peters sends out two super soldiers that are virtual reality assassins, shall we say. One is called Ares, and he's played by Jared Leto, and the other one is Athena, played by Jodie Turner-Smith. And basically, their rules, their programming commands is to capture the rival company CEO and put her in the grid, basically digitize her so that they can extract the code from her. Okay, so don't worry too much about the story. The stories are, it's fine. You understand what's going on, but it's nothing special here. Basically, it's going to boil down to the bad guy CEO orders his two programs to capture and kill this woman, his rival CEO, and the one guy, Ares, gets there and basically starts to feel human emotions. And he decides he doesn't want to follow his programming mandate, so now he's going to switch sides and protect her against everything that could possibly go wrong. Okay, fine. That's a good story, I suppose, but it's nothing super special. We've seen these type of things before, so you're not here for the story. Now, the visual images, on the other hand, I think you might be here for those. And I do think this film looks quite stunning. I saw it in IMAX, and I think that's the way to say it. There are some amazing visual images here. It looks very, very cool. But the Tron movies always have. They've always been kind of cutting-edge movies. Maybe that's why it takes 20 years in between every sequel here. I think it looks visually great. In particular, I think it looks wonderful once they get to the point. Initially, it's kind of hard to, see it as a real movie because it's just computer graphics. But when they finally put these computer-generated images and items into the real world and they do it seamlessly, I think it's very good. The light cycles are a lot of fun. The big tanks that come in at the end, a lot of fun. Look completely real, and I like the character designs. They're kind of sleek and they look very modern. I think visually this is very good. It's a little overwhelming at times, but I think visually it's a hit. Talking about the music, and let's face it, that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to see this movie. 9 Inch Nails, I'm a big fan of 9 Inch Nails, but there is a lot of 9 Inch Nails in this movie. Perhaps too much, if I'm being honest here. My theater, my IMAX screening, every time those bass notes hit, my seat would vibrate, and I gotta tell you, it's practically like getting a back massage at times. There's so much for there. I also love, they name check Depeche Mode. I love Depeche Mode, so that was another plus for me here. But like I say, I think there may be a little too much of this music. It certainly becomes obtrusive. It started to remind me a little bit of Blade Runner's soundtrack, if I'm being honest. And that is a great soundtrack and it works well, but I also think movies work better when the music works at strategic moments, not just non-stop. Now, acting-wise, I think this film has some good moments here. Look, I know a lot of people don't like Jared Leto, and I've had a couple come to me say, "I'm not going to see this movie. I don't want to see him in a movie here," and that's kind of silly. I think he's perfectly fine here. He obviously is a very good-looking man, and in that skin-typed, future assassin suit. I think he looks very cool. He handles the action stuff pretty good. Greta Lee playing the rival CEO. She's just got to be a damsel in distress. I think she's fine here. Evan Peters playing the bad guy CEO. He's a little over the top for me. He's just kind of a caricature villain. But I fear they're just using him to set up future sequels. And the funny thing is, it takes, like I said, it's 20 years between these movies. So by the time they release it, he may be too old to be in this movie. But who knows? Maybe we'll have a computer-generated Evan Peters by then. Gillian Anderson, I thought was pretty good here. She's always a welcome to see this. And Jeff Bridges, when he came on screen, it was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. He's always a welcome addition here. So, I'm not going to say this is great acting by any means. And I would say that the best part of this movie is the visual interpretation of these actors, particularly Jodie Turner-Smith, who I think is very menacing. Think of her as Grace Jones if she was cast to play in the T2 Terminator. She's very good there, and she's very menacing, and that's what you want. So, but I'm not going to say these are great performances, but they're perfectly adequate for what this movie requires. So, look, I gotta admit, I'm a little mixed here. The story, didn't care about it. The acting I thought was fine, but not particularly remarkable. The visuals were very good. I do like the visuals, particularly towards the end of the movie. Sound and music I thought was a little obtrusive at times, but the guy who likes Nine Inch Nails was jazzed about it, at least for a little while. So all in all, Tron Ares is pretty good, particularly if you see it on a big screen, but I'm not going to say that it's a great movie by any means. So I give Tron Ares 2.5 stars out of 4. So this movie is obviously trying to set up a sequel because there's a mid-credits scene where it's like, oh, there's the new bad guy, we get it. So, okay, I'm not sure I care about a sequel here. And it's funny because this movie is obviously has visions of doing more things, but it's also a film that should be seen in theaters. I'm not sure there's enough energy and interest for people to go out and see it in theaters. They'll probably wait for it to come on home streaming, and I don't think this movie will work very well on home streaming. So if they want the sequel, I'm not sure that there will be any interest in the sequel, though, if the movie bombs at the box office. But hey, that's me. I think it's worth seeing. I certainly thought it was okay. I just didn't think it was a great movie. But what do you think? Feel free to comment below. We love all your comments all the time. Of course, we ask you to subscribe to this channel so that you can get my reviews just as soon as they come out. And of course, come and subscribe to my podcast, Two Movie Guys, wherever you get your podcasts. Every week, my friend Joe Fryer and I get together and we chat about all the big new movies. He's usually a little happier about the movies than I am. I'm a little cranky sometimes. But yeah, Two Movie Guys, and come check us out here, wherever you get your podcasts. Okay, we're just getting started with this week's big new movies, and next up is something that I think looks kind of interesting. It's a new Channing Tatum movie called Roofman. We'll cover that next. See you then. Bye.